bonded in an amount that's set by the county board, and that bond is specifically to recover anything?
Yes, we would want it.
I believe you're correct,
So that's where the money would be recovered.
from the insurance bonding.
Statutes.
Well, again, I would look at how much you're looking at potentially being taken, because if you spend $20,000 on accounts that only total $20,000, if you stole it all, you're in the hole.
I agree with
We
Mr.
have
Gregg.
$5,000 deductible on
Right.
that case.
We've got him convicted, we've got him out of office, I think we move on.
Yeah.
Spend our money wiser on other things.
I disagree.
Recovering anything.
I disagree. I think that, I think that when you look at how I'm approaching it, it makes sense in my mind. Again, the county board can do what it wants. I think that looking at targeted accounts, forensic review, that makes sense, but I would also look deeper at the year in which we had the problem, that Mike had the problem with the Republicans. We can feel like we're running over a dead cat, Jeff, but, $2.7 million has gone through since 2009. We've spent. We've had to sell a nursing home, we've had to sell a hospital, and we've had to sell
Those
an
figures
airport.
aren't even, have anything to do with the treasurer's office. Like I said, if we knew how many dollars was billed in taxable dollars and how many were collected, then we could see if there's a discrepancy. If there's not a discrepancy between the two, there's no sense chasing after it. But
Yeah, and this
That's
county
fine.
board can do what it wants.
Yeah, okay. Well,
There comes a time, there just comes a time, I mean, he should have been gone a long time. We basically, any fine that he had, he basically paid the damn fine for him. And, I can't help but think there is something, I'm not worried about the double checks and that, but if he had total control of these, sometimes, I guess that's why I'm a dumbass, but sometimes I think you do something to prove a point, to just say, you know what, you may have got us, I don't want, whoever comes into that office, there's always going to be a cloud if anything comes over, and I guess I just feel the slate ought to be clean. If it's bad money, you know what, we spent some bad money.
we don't need to keep spending bad money.
Well, you know what, I think sometimes,
Okay.
I agree with you, Larry. We need a clean slate. We need to know for sure.
And before we pass this office on to anybody else, they've got to have that clean slate.
Well, I agree. I agree on that point too, and that's why I think we need to try to get that clean slate. But
and I can't help but believe that, if there is something there that we can reopen, if there's another fund missing, we can reopen that situation.
well, you have experience with this on the school board. You know these things.
Have to keep saying that.
Well, I don't mean that in a negative way.
No,
But
no.
you bring insight to this that is fair, and I respect that insight.
Yes, I mean, back to
I just have a quick question, if I may. I'm just curious, as a taxpayer, to what end are we doing this? If we can't prosecute them, and we can't get the money back, and we've already talked about the treasurer's office implementing all the changes that are recommended, isn't that a clean slate right there? And if we're gonna spend up to $100,000 on a forensic audit just to tell us that there's money missing that we're never gonna get back, that we're never gonna see, we as taxpayers just essentially paid $100,000 to know that this guy stole more money, but we can't do anything about it.
Well, we
Am
have,
I right?
we have an insurance bond that we can recover money
But-
from.
I don't think the
I don't
insurance
think
model
you
pays
can.
the audit though.
Right.
No, it'll pay for recovery of
So you want to spend $80,000 to recover?
Jeff, I'm not saying we spend 80, I'm saying that if we do this in a targeted way, in a strategic way, probably accomplish saving some money, but also getting some assurances that we have a clean beginning. I agree with Larry on this. We need a clean slate.
20 months I've been coming in here, and this is not the first time that I've heard people sitting over on that side of the room saying, forensic audit, we need to see what's gone. I mean, don't we owe the taxpayers an answer, a reconciliation on how much money was taken from them? Look, this is not about Mike Bertelson anymore. That's done, that ship's sailed, we got it, okay? We got the answers tonight. I'm not worried about what we're gonna get back or what we're not gonna get back from Mike Bertelson. But if there's any type of an audit at all, be it partial forensic audit, full, whatever, we should answer two questions. How much money did he actually take? And that should go to the taxpayers. They've been asking that. They want to know. They wouldn't have been up here asking if they didn't want to know. And number two, do we have a clean slate for whoever takes over as the treasurer to start with, and they don't have to worry about something popping up 6 months from now and say, whoa, where'd that come from? And it's carryover from the old treasurer. I don't know about the rest of you, but I listen to the people that I represent.
Wasn't there, something about that he got an estimate from someone and turned that?
That's what he was convicted on, Larry.
Okay, that's the one.
That was one of the issues he was convicted on, the 911 fees.
Jeff, I don't think anybody wants to waste taxpayer dollars, certainly not you, certainly not me, certainly not anybody at this table. But I do think that we probably don't need to spend 80, but maybe 30 or 40 could get us to the comfort that we need to have that clean break.
You're not gonna get a forensic audit for a full year for that kind of money. I know what the first-
Have we gotten bids? I mean, do we know that?
Well, I just know what the last one cost us for the stage 2, which was barely nothing, and that was over $20,000. And that was without really digging into much. That was just reviewing what our present audit, or what our other auditing company had already done.
A full forensic would go 2 or 3, correct?
I don't know the proper terms of what they call, I think that's generic terms. Ken, can you help me with that?
Jeff, is it fair that maybe because we still have this debate that we bring maybe McWhorter in or somebody to
Give us an estimate.
not only give us an estimate, but take a look at what we're recommending and saying, and they may agree 100% and say, you know what, if you follow this, if there are patterns here, we can find it, you know. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's have dialogue with you know, since McWhorter did the first one, they have the familiarity. I think we ask these questions. Sandy?
I just want to throw out there, as a candidate for the county treasurer, why wouldn't I want a clean slate? Why would I want to go in there and maybe, 6 months down the road, find something, and then guess what? Guess where that gets blamed? To the treasurer's office. There's nothing any more important than to get a clean slate, or whoever takes over. Whether it's me, I don't bet, I'm sure you would want a clean slate, so let's do it.
So do you wanna go ahead and contact Ladry?
If I have the permission of the board, I can head this up with the permission of the board.
I move that we authorize Ted to contact them with cost analysis of the cost.
I second that motion, there is a motion.
I made a motion, so you can.
All those in favor, signify by saying yes.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. We have claims before us that we need to approve. I believe it's $364,300 if my eyes aren't playing tricks on me. The motion would be in order.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Any other business or non-action items that we need to discuss? board.
Seconded that motion.
So somebody said I do.
I made the motion,
You made the motion?
yes,
That was Phil's.
Oh,
Doctor second.
yeah.
I'm hearing voices again. My meditation must not be working.
It's working really well. You're reading their thoughts back.
All right, we're gonna have public comments. Any public comments? Mr. Soskin, you have 3 minutes, and it has to be pertaining to the agenda.
And it does. Under law enforcement, there was discussion of the emergency fund. In reviewing some of the emergency fund information from the last year, I noticed that there was 3, possibly 4 different people that signed off on those checks for the emergency fund, and none of them were double signatures. They were all just single signatures, and I believe there was 3, possibly 4 different signatures that were used on that emergency fund. Is that something that maybe should be looked at and should probably have dual signatures on it so that there's no risk of any misappropriations there?
Okay. Mr. Sossman, we'll look into that and respond to your.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's not a question because it's public comment, so I'm not gonna be asking a question. I'm actually here as a paying tax member of Aledo. I'm not here as the Assistant State's Attorney tonight. I'm just here to tell you guys that I'm kind of saddened by what I've been seeing, and I've wanted to bring it to the Finance Committee's attention. There have been some public misrepresentations in my opinion, by county board members, and they're misinforming the public. And I think that if you go on record and you make public statements, you should know what you're talking about, or at least have the correct facts. I mean, I think that unfortunately this community relies on you a lot to tell them the true facts of what's going on, be it with the books or with audits. And I think unfortunately there's been some misrepresentations, and we're getting, I'm getting phone calls, I'm getting questions. I can tell you that some of these misrepresentations are pretty easily fixed if you guys just take a look at the numbers. So I mean, I'm just making a public comment, I'm not asking any questions, I'm not telling anyone to go look at anything, I'm just saying, if we're gonna make public comments, please try to be educated about what you're saying, because misrepresentations in the end will hurt you. That's all, and I'm just finding it hard to believe that a lot of these things are being said to the public when they're actually not true.
Thank you, Megan.
Yep.
Thank you, Megan.
There's another question.
What is a clean slate? The bottom line, what does that mean? The audit will,
Well, we're gonna ask the forensic auditors that question when we talk to them.
Oh, okay.
What,
So you'll
what
get a
would they,
definition.
what would they bring forth as a beginning point that they would be comfortable with? So that's how I view that term.
okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, I move for adjournment.
Second.
Been moved second, any question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 6:15, so we've got a little time before the,
Oh,
Don't we have-
just, the highway committee, members of the highway committee, I'd like to start a meeting at 6:30